if you look at global structures, look at corporations like IBM, airlines, they have head offices no longer in Europe, but their head offices, Microsoft, all over the world. Microsoft has an office in Thailand, okay? IBM head office is in Malaysia. So you've got, with globalization, we have a movement of people where the job is. So it's no longer, no longer putting emphasis on the family, because if one member gets a job to work in a different country, you leave everybody behind and you're gone for the duration of the contract. In some parts of the world, you're not allowed to take your family. People are working on cruise ships. 6 months, 8 months at a time, they're gone. So that is impacting on family. That is impacting on children's behavior. That is impacting. So how can we possibly talk about the extended family if you are not around anymore? Physically, you're not there. You're connected digitally. You can talk every day. You can talk any time of the day. Visually, you can see each other, but physically, you're not there. So the question, is it going to impact on the family? Is it going to impact on behavior? Is it going to impact on how children are brought up? And the short answer is yes, it is going to impact. The traditional family, collectivity, strong community, bonded, strong bonds between family members, very connected, very strong. But those ties, if you look today at the nuclear family, where the extension is no longer there, grandparents used to be role models, grandparents used to be the bond, they were the link. With the modern nuclear family, parents have little time to spend, and digitally everything is done electronically, so you have less and less time. You don't want to cook, fine, you can order something, and 10 minutes later, pizza is delivered. You don't want to shop. In some parts of the world, you can do your shopping list on the phone. By the time you're home from work, the grocery is delivered. You don't want to eat at home, you eat out. If both husband and wife are working, and this is a trend now in Europe, in North America, where parents are spending less and less time with children because they are so engaged. Husband and wife working different shifts, working at different times, kids getting less and less attention, giving rise to behavioral problems, having problems in schools, and you read newspapers on the news almost every week. There's a mass shooting somewhere. Kids are shooting their teachers. Kids are shooting in the schools. They're carrying guns, and suddenly, they shoot 10, 15 people in the school. How many shootings have you heard about in the schools recently? Okay? And these are indicators of a family, we call that dislocation. There's dislocation in the family. So something is happening in the society. Was there evidence of mass shooting 200 years ago? Look at mass shooting today. You look at criminal behavior today. Look at schools. In some parts of the world, schools have become so dangerous. Okay? The lack of faith in the public education system, where a lot of questions being asked, what is the school doing? And then aside from that, we have a health problem also evolving. When families are not together, they're not eating the way they should. In North America, 40% of children are obese. Obesity has become a major problem in North America, where kids, are obese. And obesity, if you are obese as a child, as a teenager, there's a good possibility that you might have other complications when you grow up. So we have obesity. Look at nutrition. In Canada, for example, in many schools, the Coke machine or the Pepsi machine where you put a coin and you have a tin, those are banned. You can't use those anymore because the kind of drinks that were sold in schools and the amount of sugar, research have indicated that these have contributed to obesity in schools. So many schools have banned. You cannot have those machines where you can put a coin and get a Pepsi, a Coke, or a bag of chips. Schools now send a list to parents what should be included in their lunch. Cafeteria are controlling what should be sold in the school. And again, this is to fight obesity and problems associated, health problems associated with obesity. So we have a family now, a different kind of family. Diet has changed. Home environment has changed. Leisure activities change. Naturally, it is going to impact on our well-being. And if one parent is not there most of the time or working abroad, don't you think it's going to impact on the family situation? And that is happening more and more where you have to be mobile. You get a telephone call, you are leaving in the morning, you are gone for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You get a job, you are gone for 5 years. You're going to study and coming back after 7 years. So these long absences, it is impacting on behavior. Yes, economically, we are chasing. We are going to places where economic is more rewarding, but at the same time, aren't we paying a price? There's a price we are paying. So the price is, there's an individual price we are paying because of these long absences and also the lack of interaction with immediate family members. But also there's another price we are paying, your spiritual well-being, your emotional well-being, and more importantly, the connection with the family. So that connection which existed in the extended family has now become loose. Where are grandparents? Grandparents are in homes, okay? So we have grandparents becoming a problem. They're no longer staying at home. There are homes being built. You go to any part of Europe, you have homes for grandparents because there's no time. People don't have time to look after nana, nani, dada, dadi, just send them in homes. The traditional extended family, grandparents were essential to keep the unit together. Today, grandparents have become a burden to the nuclear family. So that's why there are private homes catering for an aging population. Children are disconnected from grandparents. Grandparents live in one country, kids are living in another country. Maybe they see each other once every 5 years. So that bond that existed 200 years ago between grandparents, they're weaker. So inevitably, when we look at all these trends, it is impacting on our behavior. So the next question we have to ask is, well, where do we go from here? Modernization is inevitable. Globalization is inevitable. Because where we started with the Industrial Revolution in 1740 onwards, we're now, in this century, we're just ending the fourth revolution and we might be entering the fifth revolution. We have a knowledge revolution. We are caught up. Everybody is hooked up. Everybody is digitalized. You no longer have to go to school. You can learn from home. You no longer need to go to a university. We have digital universities. Everybody carries these little things in their hand. You have everything you need in your palm. You don't need to go to the bank. You don't need to go to school. You can take lesson online. You can talk to your family online. Can you imagine if there's no WhatsApp? People will be lost. Oh my God. And now when families go on vacation, one of the questions children ask, is there Wi-Fi there? The mind, if there's no Wi-Fi, you take your kids on vacation. If there is no Wi-Fi, it's not going to be a good holiday because kids are bored. They no longer know what to do with their time because 24 hours they are there. I don't know what they are doing, but they are there. You take it away, they are bored. So you can see the impact. So everything is digitalized, and in this digital world, from education to health, things are done differently. Way back, before the Industrial Revolution, look at the cities. Look at Karachi as a metropolis, large urban city, a sprawling urban city. Space, how much space do you have? How far people are connected? When you're walking in the street, or you're taking the bus, or you're on the train, how many people will talk to you? Some people are scared to even say Assalamu alaikum because you don't know, he's a stranger, you don't know what he might say, right? In some part of the world, if you are a teacher, you cannot touch a student, you might be taken to court. And if a teacher cannot express warmth, a teacher is not allowed to discipline a child, you will be taken to court. A teacher is not allowed to touch a child on the shoulder and say, well done. We're being disconnected. So how are we going to express our feelings? If you really like someone, I cannot publicly, if I like someone, I cannot go publicly and hug that person. I might be labeled as crazy. It's not done. Here you can, hug, touch, but in some parts of the world you can't do that. And if you're a teacher in a school, you can't do that. Modernization. So things that were important, things that are important, human beings, we are very expressive. We like to express our warmth. We are highly emotional. We laugh, we cry, we express joy. That's human being, that's human nature, that's the way we are. You take that away, what's left? We become a robot. Right? In a digital world, our behavior becomes robotic. When the computer says press this, we press this. When the computer says do this, we do this. When the computer says switch off, we switch off. Right? You want an answer? Ask Google. Right? We don't need this. And in the age of artificial intelligence, we become obsolete. Because everything is press of a button, you got the information. You want to travel, you just do everything online. You pay, you go. You don't need to carry money in your pocket. In some part of the world, they will not take cash. For example, in Canada, you're driving, you go to a gas station, there's a big sticker that says, we do not take cash. So even cash is not accepted. Okay? So you can see to what extent our life has changed. Okay? Things that we valued before, things that we really take, So the question is it going to impact on your behavior? Is it impacting on our behavior? Naturally. And if you don't make the adjustment into this world, into this age, So you can't talk about a traditional family. It does not exist. It can't. You have to adjust, you have to be flexible, and more importantly, if you are a parent, you have to understand the language of your child. You have to understand, because it's their world, they are behaving in certain ways, they are communicating in certain ways, and if you don't make an attempt to understand their world, then there's conflict. Your world was different. Their world is different. You are in their world, so you have to make that adjustment. So in many ways now, parents have to learn how to function into a digitalized environment. Very often you find your child say, oh my God, you're a dinosaur, you don't know what you are doing. So in conclusion, therefore, it's very important. Historically, human societies have evolved where we started, and if we just took a journey, 500 years journey, and you can see all the trends, all the influences that brought us here. Question, are we better now than what we were before? So I think it's not a question of being better. Is life better today? Yes, of course. People are living, average 75, 80 years. 200 years ago, people were dying at the age of 40. So if we look lifespan, naturally. You look at health, look at diet, there's been improvement. But I think what we need to understand today are the challenges. What do we do with some of the problems that we are surrounded with? How do we deal with a generation that is digitalized? And are we preparing ourselves to be part of the digital world? And if we are not, we're not part of the global environment. We're not a global player. So therefore, I think it is very important that we bear that in mind when we talk about the impact of technology on the modern family. Yes, technology has impacted, and it will continue to impact on the family. The family will continue to evolve. Family is dynamic. It cannot stay homogeneous. It is no longer the kind of extended family that we talked about. If it hasn't arrived in Pakistan today, it will arrive. It's a question of when. But it will get there. Influences. You cannot, with globalization, you cannot stay isolated. We are part of this movement called globalization, and I've talked about that so many times. So if you are part of that movement, you cannot say, you know what, this will not happen to us. It may not happen today, but it will get here. On that note, thank you for your attention.